Okay, find yourself a comfortable way to sit and welcome to the session of yoga with a focus on effort towards the effortless, which is one of the yogic principles actually. So my teacher Jim Tarran used to say, if you come out of a class and you're exhausted and feel like drained of energy, then it wasn't yoga. Yoga should be uplifting, yoga should be light, and yoga should be energizing. Obviously, there are horses for courses, or courses for horses. Which way round is it? I don't remember. But you know what I mean. So this is supposed to be a very light session. And if you come to any point where you're experiencing a pain that makes you wonder when is this going to be over, then you need to backtrack a little, make it a little lighter, make it a little more spacious. And we're not going to do a lot of asana or poses today, just a few to work with the principle of the effortless. Other than that, we are actually more going to work on energizing the joints, hydrating the joints. Yeah, let's just start and then you'll see what we're going to do. So find yourself a comfortable way to sit. Take the flesh away from the sitting bones, lift your hips a little higher than your knees. And you can sit in Sukhasana, easy cross-legged pose. You can sit in Siddhasana, heel, groin, which is the hero's pose. You can sit in half lotus or full lotus if that is effortlessly available to you. Or you can sit in thunderbolt pose, Vajrasana, on a bolster or on your heels like this. So find a way for you to sit that makes you comfortable and able to sit without having to think about it. And if that is on a chair, then let it be on a chair. If you're sitting on a chair, make sure again that only the edge of your buttocks and not the thighs are on the chair and the feet softly planted on the ground. So let's begin. Open your palms upwards. Shift the head slightly back so that the back of the head is aligned with the tailbone, and lengthen the back of your neck upwards. In fact, you can take a moment to actually stream the back of your head upwards and relax the shoulders down. Allow the shoulders to be spacious, imagining width in your shoulders. And the best way to do this is imagining that smile from collarbone to collarbone. My teacher Susan in the Bodhma training talks about that one a lot, and it really resonates with me. I love that image of that smile from here to here. And another smile that can be useful for your effortless sitting practice is a smile from these bones here at the front of the pelvis, where the inguinal ligament is. So smiling from hip bone, pelvic bone to pelvic bone. And if you are opening up these areas, inadvertently you will feel that that smile will rise to your heart, will rise to your mouth. So if your mouth feels inclined to smile, smile with that too, as long as it's not forced. And then just come into your breath. Feeling the upward quality of the inhale, the downward quality of the out-breath. If someone is watching and can give me some feedback if the sound is all right, that would be wonderful. Okay, so it's a little bit quiet. Let's make it a little louder. I just saw. I hope it's better like this. Hopefully not too loud now. So inhaling the nourishing energy from earth, into your whole body, relaxing into the ground, letting go. Feeling light as a feather at the top of the body, and allowing everything that is heavy within to sink to earth. Feeling drawn up through the central channel, letting go of everything, softening everything that is in the periphery of that central channel. The channel that goes from the tailbone all the way to the crown. And I shall tune us in with the mantra. And today I have chosen a mantra that is a little bit more like a song. It's Namaste. And if anybody knows it, you can chant along. We will do it in the beginning of the session and in the end of the session. So if you want to join in at any time, once you feel you're confident. And Namaste, anybody can chant it. There's just 2 words somewhere in the mantra. So it's a joyful song of gratitude to yourself and to earth. Namaste, Namaste, Shidananda Rupe, Namaste, 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 Shidananda Rupe, Namaste. Join me if you want to. Namaste, Namaste, Shidananda Rupe, Namaste, 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 Shidananda Rupe, Namaste. Take your hands to the side and imagine that we're in a big circle, everyone doing this, at whichever timeline, because apparently time does not exist. So whoever is going to watch this video in the future, we're all putting palm to each other. And either chant internally or externally. Namaste, Namaste, Shidananda Rupe, Namaste, 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 Shidananda Rupe, Namaste. Last time. Namaste, Namaste, Shidananda Rupe, Namaste. And then take your hands to your heart and chant an Om that emanates from the heart out into your whole being. So deep inhale. And then a deep inhale and another Om that goes into the space around you, into your house, into your room, into your flat. And the last one, as far as you can extend your imagination to Earth and all beings on Earth. Manifesting peace. Very good. Now stretch your legs out and start taking your feet forwards and backwards. So pointing and flexing your feet, creating spaciousness in your ankles and in your toes. Is the sound okay now? And then wriggling the toes. And let's focus a little more on those feet. So I'm going to come just a little closer. Maybe I'll do this sideways so you can see better. There you are. My feet are in the sun. This is very nice. Tuck the toes in whilst your feet are flexed. And then take the toes back towards you whilst the feet are flexed. See if you can find a way to sit more upright. So here we are working in our body already, lifting the rib cage, pulling the belly in and up. So, and then imagining there is a thread, a golden thread from your crown, effortlessly lengthening you up, and everything else, all the periphery, just floating down, flowing down to earth. And from here, then just bringing that spaciousness into the toes, tucking the toes in, bringing them towards you, bending them away from you, bending them towards you. And then point your ankles, so point the feet, and then the toes, again, doing the same thing, flexing, pointing, flexing, pointing. And notice if there are any areas where that feels not so easy, if there are any areas where it almost feels like, that is a bit uncomfortable. And if you find areas like that, that is where some energy might be stuck. Maybe just focus your energy in there, focus your breath into these areas. Wherever it feels a little more difficult. You can even physically, so let's say it's my left toe, you can even physically just bring a little bit of spaciousness into that toe, whichever one it is, and just lengthen it a little away from that joint, taking it forward, bringing some length to the back, maybe streaming that toe down. See where the tightness is for you, and give that tightness a bit of flow, a bit of breath, a bit of attention. We know where the mind goes, the energy flows. So imagine that you are putting light into these spaces where you feel the tightness. And then, now that we have worked with the joint that is at the base of the toes, see if you can separate the toes a little in your mind's eye. Let's go somewhere where you can see the toes. Can you see them here better? No? And then see if you can spread the little toes away from the big toe. It actually looks like you're just spreading all the toes, for me anyway. Some of you might be more attuned to moving the toes by now, especially if you might have been taking my suggestion to do this on a daily basis. And then focus just on your little toe and just work that little toe. See where is it that you can just move the little toes, and where do the other toes want to start getting involved. It might be just a fraction of movement before the other toes want to join in with the party. Wonder why that is. Okay, and now one last one for the ankles and the toes. I would like you to take your little finger and put it between the little toe and the fourth toe. And you don't have to put the whole finger through. It's enough just to put the tip of the finger in, or more if you have the space for that. So the ring finger goes between the fourth toe and the third toe, the middle finger between the third toe and the second toe, and the index finger between the second toe and the big toe. And then just let your fingers rest in that space for a moment. For some people that might be quite painful, that pressure, but just try and relax into that pressure. It's just a kind of pressure that we're not used to, but we're working on really important reflexology points on your feet. And then very gently start rotating the ankle inwards. And let this be a slow movement where you're really tuning in, feeling into the spaces, creating spaciousness. So it's not about how fast can I do this. It's more feeling in. How does it feel in each part of the movement? How does it feel if I go outwards? Am I using the whole capacity of my rotation of the circle? Is it uncomfortable in any parts of that circle? Are there any areas that I'm bypassing? There is a theory that areas that we bypass with our body are significant for areas that we might be bypassing in our own psyche. So areas of our psyche that we're not entering, things we might be suppressing. And just by moving the body into those areas and finding these areas, we're actually opening these parts in ourselves in an emotional way, allowing these things to surface so that we can look at them calmly without getting involved, and just bringing flow to these areas, integrating them. So if you find any areas like this, just going into them, bringing your breath into them, bringing the lightness of the inhale into them, and then continuing the flow. And if you have not changed direction yet, so now is the time to move the foot outwards, bringing spaciousness into the ankle that way. And by now you might feel that either your fingers have started slipping out, or you have perhaps started not to feel the pressure so much anymore because your body got used to it. I hope that is the case. I trust that is the case for you. And again, if there are any areas that you are feeling you might be avoiding in the circle, go into these areas, meet them gently, see why is it that I'm unconsciously avoiding that area? Is there a certain sensation that I haven't been aware of before, but now going into it, I can actually feel it. And can I meet it gently? Don't go right into it, just meet it and bring your breath awareness to it. Okay, and then we do the same thing on the other side. But hold on, actually, before we go and do it on the other side, let's bring some spaciousness to our hip joint. Take that knee towards you, cradle it with your elbow, and then bring either the hand underneath the foot or the inner elbow, depending how flexible you are in your body. You need to adjust where and how you can cradle your shins and calves or your inner baby. And then bring some openness to the hip joint. Is your body still able to be upright here? If that is hard for you, elevate your hips a little more. And then feel if there is any stretching sensation here. Bring the lightness of your breath to it. And then we do the same with the other side. So shake that foot out a little. Shaking that knee maybe a little. And then the other side. So how did we start? Little finger between the small toe and the fourth toe. just gently coming into the base of the space between the toes, the ring finger between the fourth toe and the third toe, middle finger, just bringing it in between the third and the second, and then the index finger should quite easily come in. If you start from the little toes, it's much easier to bring the fingers in. And then starting to rotate inwards, feeling the pressure at this point, seeing if the pressure is any different on this side than it was on the other side, and make that big circle. Make that circle as wide and spacious as you can, really feeling the spaciousness of your breath enter the ankle and enter also into these joints in the toes. Bring your mind's attention to them, meet the sensations, and see if there are any areas in the circle that you might be bypassing. And if you are, just meeting those spaces, seeing, oh, what is it that I'm avoiding? And often when you go to meet that space that you might be avoiding because you think it's uncomfortable or whichever reason there is, once you go and try and start to meet that moment where that sensation starts, it might actually be quite different to what you imagined it to be. Another analogy for things in life that one might be avoiding, when you actually start putting your mind to them, they are nowhere near as bad as you might have thought they might be. And then going the other way. If sitting on the ground is hard for you, you can also do this on a chair. Again, seeing, are there any areas in that circle that you might be avoiding? Is it different to the other side? Is your circle bigger or is your circle smaller? Just observing without judgment, just kindly meeting those spaces. And then cradling the baby. So with your upper arm, bring your elbow around the knee, bringing some spaciousness into that hip joint by slightly elevating here. And then either the hand or the elbow around the foot and coming from side to side. Breathing into that space in your hip joint. And then taking the legs, stretching them out in front of you. If you are on a chair, you can do this just the same, bringing a little movement in from the hips. And then come and lie on your side. We are going to work on the shoulders now. If you do have a tennis ball or a ball of this, roughly this size to hand, so smaller than a volleyball ideally, but you can even do it with a volleyball or a football, whatever ball you have, but a little smaller would be ideal. But you can also do this without a ball if you don't have that to hand. And we're going to work a little on the shoulders. If you have a blanket to hand, put that under your head. Bring spaciousness between the shoulder and the ear. And then take your arm like this. I think you can see me. So hand to hand. And then just coming forwards and backwards. If you have a ball to hand, you can do that same movement with the ball in between. Just rolling that hand on top of the ball, making sure that that hand is fully relaxed on top. So you're bringing spaciousness to your lower spine as you're doing this. Rotating, spiraling back as far as your body can go. Opening almost to the ceiling, And then rolling forward over on top of the hand as far as you can go, making sure that hand remains relaxed. And let that head relax on the blanket or on the half block, whatever you have put under your head. Can also be a cushion. And then letting go of the ball and opening that arm to the back. See how far you can get that arm to the back. If the arm can come as far as the mat underneath you or the ground underneath you, just relaxing there for a moment and then opening back again. And imagine now, this is where we come into the effortless. Imagine now that it is like a rising tide underneath or strings beyond your fingertips that are opening the arm to the back. So it's the space that is doing this movement to you, rather than you doing it with your muscles. Opening up on the inhale, coming back forward on the out breath. Working with your breath. And you can take breaks in between, going forward and backwards on the ball or on the tennis ball, or just with your hands going forward and backwards. And then when it feels right for you, just on the inhale, coming back, opening up, feeling that spaciousness in your shoulders, the spaciousness in your lower spine, in your middle spine, and then coming forward again. And when you come forward again, see if you can see how I'm doing that. It's my spine that initiates the movement. The arm hangs back, so it gives a little stretch to the arm in the back there. The arm hangs back until the last moment, and then it's just gravity that brings the arm along. So on the way there, the space beyond the fingertips or the space underneath the arm is invisibly lifting that arm up. So you are not doing this, you are being moved. And on the way forward, the initiating impulse comes from your spine to bring you back forward. One more. And then just stay there for a moment, feeling that spaciousness between the two arms, feeling that twist. Stay here. If you feel you need to adjust your legs in any way, please do. You can be playful with this, bringing some spaciousness to your hip joint as well, bringing the knees up and down. Maybe even some movement in your knees. So again, being playful, feeling, seeing what is it that feels good for my body, which tissues in which joints do I feel I need to move and hydrate? Maybe you even want to move your head from side to side. And then slowly coming back, and it is time to do the same thing to the other side. Ah, okay. I turned it down again. We seem to be having voice issues today. So coming onto the other side and doing the same thing here, either with the balls or with just your arms. It doesn't really matter which way you're doing it. It's a little bit easier with the balls, but it doesn't have to be. with the balls. So coming forward and backwards, bringing some support underneath your head, and just allowing for that spaciousness in the spine. Moving forward, finding your boundaries. How does it feel where? How does it feel in my spine? How does it feel in my shoulders? And allowing your breath to flow softly, as if you were breathing that spaciousness of your breath into your shoulders and into your spine. And you can see here how when I'm doing these movements, that the movement is happening there as well, in the waist area. And then at some point, if you're using a ball, just let the ball go. Imagine strings on the back of your fingertips, and you are being moved through space, effortlessly opening to the back. See how far going back feels comfortable, and then allowing the impulse to come from the lower spine to move that arm back forward. So you have that moment when you're coming back where the arm is just hanging back and the movement's happening here in the waist and in the shoulders. Just allowing that opening, allowing that bit of moment of stretch in the arms. And if you want to go a little forward and backwards as you're doing this, when you come back to the front, please do. Go with your own flow. Visualizing spaciousness, visualizing the air of your breath, the prana of your breath, hydrating those tissues, bringing joint fluid back to flow in the shoulders, in the spine. So these kind of movement are called Pavan Muktasana in yoga, and it literally means moving the gases, moving the air. So you're opening the channels for the prana to flow through the body, for the energy to flow. And then at some point you can stay back, just open to the back, bringing the arms on shoulder level, spaciousness between the shoulders and the ears, moving your legs, your knees, your head, whatever it is that you feel brings you more openness, brings more flow into your body. So it is for you to now listen. What is it that my body needs? And being with that. And maybe you just need to lie still. Maybe that is what opens you. You can internally feel like those areas that need attention are opening up like flowers. Opening up like flowers or leaves in spring. And then slowly coming back. So we've worked on the middle spine, we've worked on the shoulders. We are now going to work a little more on the neck region. So I'd like you to come to either sitting on a chair or to standing. If you are standing, or even if you are sitting, sit just with the edge of your buttocks on the chair like this, and really soften your feet to the ground. And you can do the same exercises from here as you can do them standing up. If you are standing up, bring your feet to hip width apart, soften your feet into the ground, softening your toes, softening your heels, the ball of your foot, the balls of your feet. Just softening down, visualizing those roots growing down into the ground. And then we're going to bring a little bit of strengthening action to our feet. So extending the toes away from you and then slowly coming up with the heels. And very slowly meeting the earth again. One little bone of your feet at a time. So be really conscious of that lifting moment. Imagine that lifting is happening from the top of your head again. So it's from the top of your head that you are being lifted and your body is just following suit. And then you're resisting that lift, wanting to meet the earth again. And you're just meeting very slowly, really conscious of one part after the other of your foot meeting the ground again. You're being drawn upwards, like a plant is being drawn out of earth to the light. And then deepening the roots back into the ground again. So it's like a meditative movement, an internal movement upwards towards the light. The hands are relaxed. No gripping in the toes. See if you can keep your toes relaxed as you're coming up. And if you are gripping, just be conscious of that and see if there is any way you can change your movement, adjust your movement so that there is no gripping. Maybe you don't need to go that high. See how high can you go without gripping in the toes. Okay, good. And then we'll move in the hips. So I'll come a little closer for this one, taking the hips forward and backwards. See how far you can tuck your tailbone under, how far can the tailbone come back. And then bringing it from side to side. How far can I move my hips to the side without my body being part of the action? Still softening those feet to the ground. And then taking the hips round the clock, forwards, sideways, backwards, opening the spaces in the lower spine. How are your feet? Are your toes gripping at any point in that circle? See if you can soften more into your feet. And then circling the other way. And then bringing the hips into a position where, so here is the basket of your pelvis. So if you imagine this to be a basket and you want to upright that basket so that it's fully open to the top, so that the maximum spaciousness is facing the ceiling. So see where that is for you, or also this analogy of the helium balloons attached just underneath the navel and lifting slightly. So it's more of an opening to the top than a tucking under. Tucking under often takes it a little too far, and then the basket is open to the back and you lean a little more into your lower back, and that is not so, it doesn't ensure energy flow. So we want to find the space where the basket of the pelvis is showing as much as possible opening to the top, for the spine to just be inside there effortlessly. So find where that open spaciousness is for you. And if your body needs to do any movements around that, to find that space, sometimes there is just this moment of, there it is, that feels open. So see if you can find that for you. And then we take the arms to the front, open up to the back, and come forward again. Open, and come forward again. Open, and come forward again. And now changing the angle, palms facing you, elbows bent, open, bringing the shoulder blades together, and coming back again. Open, and coming back again. Let that drop, feel into that for a moment, let the shoulders be relaxed. And then let your head drop down. Feeling the stretch on the back of the neck. And then let your shoulders drop. So this again is possible on a chair as well. So when we are going to curl down with our whole spine in a moment, it is really important. Don't do it yet, just watch for a moment. When we come down, I'll do this a little faster, that you really find that point where you can rest your body on top of your thighs. For most people, there is a point where you are able to put your body on top of your thighs. It might mean that you need to bend your legs more to find that spot. However, if that is not available for you for some reason, you can, that it hurts or anything, you can do this again on the chair. You can just curl yourself down on top of the chair and then rest your body on top of the thighs, let your head dangle down, and then do the same uncurling action on the chair, just as useful for the spine. The only difference is that you might not feel as much of a stretch on the back of your thighs. So if that is the case and you're not feeling anything on the back of your thighs when you're doing this on the chair, then you can just slightly move the feet away from you until you start feeling it. And it doesn't have to be a strong sensation, so don't force anything, just a sensation that you can relax into. So we are going to do this in standing now. Let your eyes be on the horizon. And then let your eyes come down. Let your body follow. Let your head follow. Let your shoulders give themselves to gravity, moving down one vertebra at a time. You are already bending your knees here to receive the body, slowly curling down one vertebra at a time until you have your body on top of your thighs. And then just let your head dangle down, giving your head down to the ground. Let your arms be heavy. You can take the hands towards the elbows here, breathing deeply. Let the shoulders be heavy. Let go of the elbows and initiate the movement from the lower spine, one vertebra at a time, uncurling, opening again, bringing spaciousness in between the vertebrae as you're coming up. And then the head comes up, the eyes come to the horizon, and you feel into this. And then at some point you start the movement again, initiated by the eyes. The eyes go down, the head follows, the shoulders relax, the knees bend to receive your body. Your roots receiving you as you come down. Bring yourself closer to gravity until your body meets the thighs and you can just let your head dangle down. Here at this point, you can experiment a little. Can
you move your hips just a little higher without losing the connection to your thighs. So you can see here my body and my thighs are really connected. I'm really giving my body down to the thighs, down to the roots. And I'm moving the hips just up enough that I start feeling a sensation on the back of the thighs. And then let your head dangle, give your head to gravity. Let all those muscles around the shoulders become really loose. Can also, if you want to, take your arms behind your body and back down again, lifting as if you were moved from beyond your fingertips. Coming up, feeling that openness in the shoulders, feeling that spaciousness in the shoulders, and at some point, when the arms come back down again, giving the arms fully to gravity, and then starting to uncurl again, one vertebra at a time. You might find that intuitively you do this on the out breath, but see what you do automatically as you're doing that movement, one vertebra at a time. The head goes last and then the eyes. And then close your eyes, just feel and integrate. Feel how your spine feels now. And we are going to bring a little more opening to the shoulders and to the sides of the body. So take your toes to face outwards. Let your knees be relaxed and just come from side to side, making yourself long, long to one side and long to the other side. Making yourself long. Reaching, imagining again those threads on your fingertips, and you are being moved by space as if they were puppeteers outside in the space, moving you from the right to the left, letting go of this lower arm and grabbing hold of the other. So now those fingertips are being moved into the space again. You come round, are being stretched there, and then the threads move around to the lower fingertips again, bringing the other arm up. Let that movement come from beyond you. Let that movement come from underneath. It's like an awakening of the lower hand. And then come back to the middle and just feel into that space. Feel into your shoulders, feel into the lower spine. Excuse me, I need to change some. Okay. Just feeling for a moment. What has changed in my body? How is my body feeling now? How are my shoulders feeling? How are my arms and fingers? And then we are going to actually start moving with the hands. So taking the fingers inwards, circling the wrists. And let that again be a slow movement. Inwards and outwards. Listening. Are there any areas where you can feel a little bit of cracking, where you can hear sounds? And then see if you can meet those areas again where you can feel the sound. So I feel it just here, just as I'm coming round. And when I slow down that movement enough to meet it, it's almost, for me, what happens is that I actually don't feel that anymore. It's like that space opens up a little. So just meet these areas where you can feel the smooth flow is a little interrupted. And then the elbows. And then taking the arms into the equation. So take the arms up, shoulders down, opening the arms to one side, so both palms facing one side, as if you had a coin going through you this way, and you're tracing one side of the coin or one side of a wall, and then you're tracing the other side of a wall. Or imagine you're standing in a waterfall. So the waterfall is going over you like this, and you're tracing the back of the waterfall, and you're tracing the front of the waterfall. Feeling those meeting points where you are feeling the waterfall from both sides. I'm going to come down a bit so you can see that, but you can stay standing or on your chair. It's a bit harder with the chair, this one, so I suggest it would be better to stand up or come onto your knees. And then changing the direction. So let the other arm come back. Feel that opening in the shoulders. Imagine those strings on the end of your fingertips being moved by space itself. Last one. Opening to the side, turning the palms, come back down. So now what I'd like to do is bring the effortlessness in by really tuning in to being moved by the space beyond your fingertips. So imagine that somebody is coming to you and putting strings on each one of your fingers. And your fingers are aligned. You're pulled in the same direction, but there is no rigidity. So it's not like this. It's just a lengthening, a softening towards those strings that are holding your hands, that are lengthening, elongating your hands. And you imagine that those strings are like feelers, invisible feelers. So where your hand is pointing towards, I'm pointing towards the wooden floor at the moment. So just imagine if you were to feel whatever your fingers are pointing at, what does it feel like? Is it a carpet? Does it feel rough or does it feel smooth? Does it feel warm or does it feel cold? Just really imagine if you were to touch that ground right now with those invisible feelers, what sensation would there be on the end of your fingertips? So extending your awareness beyond your body. And then imagine that those invisible feelers were being moved. And then you're starting to feel the walls or any objects that you have in your space, in your room. And you're coming up higher, higher, and higher until you feel the ceiling. Maybe you can even bring your imagination to feel what is beyond your ceiling, feeling into the sky. And then you come down to the side, feeling your ceiling, your walls, maybe even what is beyond your walls, what is in the space behind that wall. Can you get sensitized towards it? So there is no limit to that imagination. Really bring your awareness to that space beyond until you start feeling the ground again. And then just let your arms rest for a moment. Feel into the difference between your right hand and your left hand. See what feels different. Maybe that hand now feels a little bigger than the other hand. Maybe there is just a tingly sensation on the fingertips. Maybe that whole arm feels a little heavier and a little longer.
Maybe there is no difference, but I doubt it. If you have been doing it with that imagination, I'm quite sure that you're feeling some difference right now. And then let the other arm come into the movement. So connecting those invisible strings. Allowing those invisible strings to connect to whatever your fingers are pointing at. Feeling that space. Training your imagination to really feel that space beyond your fingertips. So training the imagination is just as important as training and stretching your muscles. So we're stretching our imagination towards the ground. And then that space beyond the fingertips is starting to move us, like a tide rising underneath your arms. So your arm is moving effortlessly through the space, and the imagination beyond your fingertips changes as that arm goes higher and higher. And you're feeling the ceiling and maybe the skies beyond the ceiling. See how far you want to stretch your imagination. And then that arm starts going to the side. Check in with your other hand whilst you're doing this. Is your other hand relaxed? Feeling the walls or the windows or any plants or objects in the room as your fingertips point to different areas in the room. Make it as vivid as you possibly can. And then just let that arm relax again. Feeling how the sensations changed for this arm now. And then I'd like to, with that same imagination of being held and moved by those strings, I'd like us to do some warrior postures. So if you take your legs apart now, with the front toes having the same distance to the front of the mat, or if you're not using a mat, just aligning your front toes so that they are on the same level. And the inner edges of the feet parallel to each other, as if they were on train tracks, but ideally they are a little wider than normal train tracks. So take them as wide as is comfortable for you. Find that uprightness in your pelvis again. Pull the belly in and up, lifting the solar plexus, relaxing the shoulders. Tuck your right toes in. So you're moving the foot of the toes inwards and the heel stays outwards like this. Then the other foot goes half out with the toes like this, half in with the heels like this. Let me show that again. So from parallel, half out with the toes, half in with the heels. And now if you check the alignment, where does the heel point? And ideally the heel should be pointing to the middle of the back foot, so to the arch of the back foot. And then relax your feet into that space. Just relaxing the feet down. Softening the feet, growing the roots. Check in with your pelvis again. Is my pelvis still aligned in the space? So your pelvis should be facing forward. Pull the belly in and up. Lift the solar plexus, relax the shoulders. Connect your fingertips into the space. Imagine that tide lifting your arms as if you were a boat on a rising tide, coming up and up and up and up. And you rest your arms onto that space. And then you look towards your left foot. And you can actually bring some spaciousness in your neck before doing that. Your arms are just suspended by those invisible strings, resting on those waters, effortlessly resting. You push your way through into your back foot, so your right foot, keeping your body aligned, pulling the belly in and up. You're being held by your crown, and then you look towards your left fingertips and pushing your weight into the back foot. You're very gently bending that
Left knee towards the middle toes. Relaxing the toes into the ground, feeling warmth as you root through your feet into the ground, feeling those fingertips extending into space as if you had invisible feelers on your fingertips. You're touching the walls or the windows with both sets of fingertips to the front and to the back. You're really feeling that warm space of that tide, warm waters that you're just resting your hands onto. And if you are having that imagination really vivid, it should be really effortless being in this warrior now. Engage your pelvic floor. Let your inner forces rise to your solar plexus. Looking towards your fingertips, lengthening the back of your neck as if there was another string on your crown, lifting you up, holding you in space so that there's no effort on your thighs. And then come up. Now we are going to take that right foot a little further forward to open that space a little more, and then you turn your pelvis to the front leg. You can keep your toe tucked under, or you can come onto the ball of the foot. See what feels better for you. And then you take your arms up. Again, you have those strings on the end of your fingertips, palms facing up. Palms facing each other. You are being held by those invisible strings on the crown, on the fingertips, shoulders wide and spacious. And if that string on the top of your head was a bungee rope, then you're suspending yourself away from that bungee rope to come down. Make sure your front knee doesn't go beyond your ankle. Engage the pelvic floor. Lift your inner forces upwards, sucking up from the pelvic floor to the solar plexus. And from the solar plexus on the out breath, shining out into your hands, into the top of your head, into the whole of the periphery. If there is heat in your front thigh now, draw it up as well to the solar plexus. Bring that heat to the solar plexus and shine it out. Breathe deeply. No effort in the arms, shoulders relaxed, feeling light as a feather being drawn upwards. And then opening, turning, come up. If you need to shake out your legs a little, do that. If you need to bring some more spaciousness again into your hips, please do that. And then we will come and do the same thing to the other side. So wide stance. Front of the toes aligned. Tucking your left foot in. Spreading the little toes away from the big toe to broad the base on that foot, softening the roots into the ground. The other foot goes half out with the toes, half in with the heels. And then check that your alignment, so this foot is facing away from you, aligning the side with the front of the mat there. And that the heel, if you extended that line, goes to the middle of the back foot, to the arch. And then make sure that your hips are facing forward. You're aligning your pelvis, uprighting your pelvis, engaging your pelvic floor, taking your arms into the distance, feeling into the distance with your fingertips, feeling that rising tide underneath your arms, just resting your arms on that. And your fingertips being gently lengthened into space. No tension whatsoever in the shoulders or in the hands. It's just giving into that spreading, spacious, open quality. Just gently extending into the space. And those strings can be kilometers and miles long. Make that length come from far away. And then engaging the pelvic floor, lifting the energy up to the solar plexus, that gentle lift on the top of the crown, bending that leg whilst pushing the weight through into the other leg. So bending your right leg as you push your weight through into hold of the foot on the left. And then the head can go from side to side, spaciousness in the neck for a moment, until that head just wants to rest towards your right arm. Soften your toes, elongate, bring spaciousness to the base of your toes. Soften the feet into the ground, feeling the roots. Resting on that space, on that endless, infinite space. Holding your fingertips, lifting your arms. Holding your arms in space. And if you are making that imagination of the space, the quality of space, the support of the space holding you in place, if you make that really strong in you, you could stay in here for a really long time. So it's up to your imagination to work this, to make the muscles work in a more efficient way so that they don't tire out so quickly, because you are being held by this space beyond you and by your internal forces. And then you unbend that knee, take your left foot a little forward to bring more space between your feet. You can now either keep your foot in that position where the toes are tucked in a little, or come onto the ball of the foot. Face your hips to the front foot, so face your hips to your right foot. Make sure your pelvis remains open. Take your arms up. I'm going to move a little so that you can see my arms. So I'm going to put my heel on the ground, but of course, if that feels better for you, you can just lift your heel up so that your whole leg is facing that side. Softening your toes into the ground, taking your arms up so that the palms face each other above your head. Shoulders wide and spacious, fingertips elongated into space, pushing your weight into the back foot as you bend your right knee. Engage the pelvic floor, sucking the energy up to your solar plexus. And on the out breath, spreading out through your fingertips, through the top of your head, through that whole radius, through that whole circumference around you. Feeling a warm space between your palms. Feeling that aliveness as your fingertips extend into space. Pulling the belly in and up a little more, your abdominals working to meet the solar plexus. And then you open the palms, turn the palms down, come up, and shake that out. How are we doing for time? I think we need to finish soon, otherwise it will get a little too long for you. Was there anything else that I wanted to do? Let's do a little bit of neck work. So just the very last bit for your neck region before we go down to the ground. You can use a chair. I'll use a chair so you can see me better, or you can keep standing, softening your feet to the ground. And just let your head come from side to side for a moment. So tucking the chin in, and let the head tilt from side to side, so one ear to shoulder, keeping the shoulders relaxed. And then bring your head to the upright position. And we will do something that we did in the last session where we worked with the eyes to release connections and release blockages in the throat region and in the third eye region. So you're going to take your arms to the side, But if that is hard for you to have the arms suspended like that in space, you can also put something under your hands that you're going to shift in between, or just visualize some objects diagonally away from you, as far away as you can. So I'm going to demonstrate this with the thumbs. So just looking out of your peripheral vision, where do you stop seeing your thumbs? And then you can, if you don't want to use your arms, choose objects that are in that range away from you, that you can still see out of the corner of your eyes, and see if you can stretch that space a little. And then inhale, move your eyes, but not your head, to your left object or your left thumb. And breathe out. Inhale, moving to the third eye, the space between the eyebrows. Exhale in the space between the eyebrows. Inhale, moving the arms to your other hand or the other object, looking at that thumb without moving the head. Inhale whilst moving, exhale whilst looking. And then do this with the arms to the front. So looking at the thumb above, seeing how far can you stretch your peripheral vision to see both thumbs at the same time. And then looking at the thumb above and moving that thumb down without moving your head. And then the other thumb comes up, following the thumb up to where you can't see, you can hardly see it, just by the movement of your eyes, just where it starts to disappear out of your peripheral vision, and then come down again. Inhale on the way up, exhale on the way down. And then the next time we take one thumb up, inhale, up to where you can hardly see it, and then on the out breath, making an outward arc and following that arc with your eyes. And then inhaling the other thumb up, exhaling outward arc, following the thumb round and resting it on your knee. We'll do this once more to each side. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And just rest there for a moment, feeling into your eyes, softening your eyes, softening your hands, softening your shoulders. And then just let your head come in, circling from one side to the other, bringing spaciousness to your neck as you breathe and inhale into your neck, imagining light in that space of your neck. And if any areas feel tight on that journey, just resting there for a moment, bringing spaciousness and light to that area. Breathing into that area. Seeing how maybe the sensation gets a little quieter. And then resuming the journey. So scanning the body for any sensations of tightness. And then just coming from side to side. Again, if there any areas appear where it feels a little tighter, please rest there for a moment, just feeling and breathing into that space where you feel the tightness. Wait for it to open up naturally, just with the help of the lightness of your breath. And then come back to the middle, and it is time to relax. So if you can sit during the meditation as well, or you can take a blanket underneath your head, and when you lie down, putting your head on that folded blanket or on a half block, whatever you have available, maybe a small cushion, then let one leg shake out, drop it down outwardly, let the other leg shake out, drop it down, let the toes go outwards so that the hips are open, the arms, shoulders away from the ears, maybe even slightly tucked under, palms facing up, lengthening the back of the neck. So imagining tucking the chin in and lengthening from the crown, bringing spaciousness. If you have an eye cushion or something to put on your eyes, just that you become really internal with your awareness, you can do that as well. And then just becoming aware of your breath. Allowing your breath to come and to go. Allowing the breath to come into you, expanding in your body, feeling your whole body, and on the out breath, just softening down, relaxing into the ground. Feeling the inhale, expanding into your body. Feeling the out breath, softening you down to earth. Receiving the lightness of the breath. Letting go of anything heavy, giving it back to earth. Feeling your whole body as it becomes lighter and lighter, yet heavier and heavier, giving your whole weight to the support of the earth. Feeling spacious, feeling infinite, the infinite space that your in-breath opens. The endless light spreading, flowing. Into each and every cell, each and every atom and particle and fiber of you. Feeling that light. All the cells communicating with that light. Biophotons, light information messengers going from one cell to the other. And that communication getting clearer, more efficient, even from the furthest, tiniest cell in your toes to the furthest, tiniest cell in your fingertips, in your brain, your eyes softening, receiving that light internally. And your body becomes lighter and lighter, yet giving itself more and more to the warm, nourishing roots of the earth. Roots extending into earth. Be with that imagination. Make it vivid. And bring the quality of the heart, of love into this. Imagine a person in your life that you have unconditional love for. Just feel that love for a moment. And allow that energy of that love to just be there by itself. You're still feeling that love for that person, but just tuning into the quality of that energy, of that love that expects nothing in return, that love that just is. Allow that love to just exist as an energy on its own and spread into your whole being. From your fingertips to your toes, to your eyes, to your jaws, creating a loving, light spaciousness from the top of your head to the tip of your toes, to the tips of your fingertips. Filling it up with that energy of love, all accepting, appreciating, all encompassing love, flowing through the cells, emanating from the cells, emanating from the cells towards your skin and into the space beyond your skin. Allowing it to flow through the skin into the space beyond the skin. Allowing that light, that unconditional, all accepting, loving energy to flow into the space beyond you, hugging you, embracing you, but also shining, emanating out. Bringing a layer of protective love around you. Into your thoughts, into your emotions, and into people that you come in contact with. No boundaries to that love. It just is. It's everywhere. It's in earth. It's in the sun that shines onto everyone, regardless of where they come from. It shines even when the clouds are there. A love of the quality of the love of earth, the warmth of the sun, yet the calm coolness of the moon. A warm, nourishing love that just is within you and beyond you.
Breathe into that. Accept that. Feel worthy of that. Namaste. Namaste. Shirananda Rupe. Namaste. 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 Shirananda Rupe. Namaste. 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 Shirananda Rupe. Namaste. Namaste. With love and blessings. To you, your inner teacher. To Earth. From heart to heart. Goodbye.